Okay, take 4. Here we go. All right. So, what was or is emerging adulthood like for you? I keep redoing this video. The first one, the second one, the third one, and now the fourth one. So let's see if I can get it this time. For me, emerging adulthood was a restricted environment. It was a very strict environment for me in my 20s from age 23 to 30. And felt, hindsight's always 2020, right? So I don't know if my 24, 25, 26 year old self would say, yeah, I feel really restricted right now. But hindsight is always 2020, and it was a really restricted environment. So things like, where there was no room for error, you don't make mistakes. And you definitely don't do anything like when I was in my 20s. I was in a really interesting environment, and you couldn't do anything that would jeopardize yourself or other people in any way, shape, or form, right? Like your reputation, you know, just whatever. So there was no such thing as like hanging out at the bar, going out for drinks with your girls or whatever people do in their 20s. I don't know what people do in their 20s cuz I didn't do it. You know. And not only was I in a really restricted environment, but I had a child in my 20s, right? You know, and so I was pregnant by 22, at 22, had the child at 23, and have been mothering this person ever since. Now, in that very restricted environment, then not only was I not doing, and trying to create a good reputation and character and blah, 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 I was also being, rigorously trained, I want to say, to be a good mother, and to be the best mother I could be. And it really took a toll on my mental health. So my emerging adulthood, according to the readings, right? According to the TED Talk, should have been in my 20s. According to my pastor, honestly, right? There were just things that should have happened that didn't. And and so in a lot of ways, I can say that it affected me because I didn't turn 34, 33, 30, wait, let me think, 20. So I was 23 for 10 years. That's how much the environment, I refused, like I was refusing to age. And at first, everybody just thought it was funny, and so did I. I'm just trying to be youthful. I don't look my age. Hey. Right? And so, and that's great and that's wonderful. But it wasn't really about that. It was just, I was really trying to hold on to it, because it was about to be lost, and all I wanted to do was have fun and cut loose and, just do stupid stuff. You know how many times people just encourage you to do the dumbest things when you're 20? They're just like, that's the age, that's the time. That's all I had ever heard growing up, is that your 20s is the time to make all the dumb mistakes you gonna make them when you're in your 20s. Just do it because you could recover, right? When I was doing the second part of the discussion, I also thought of, maybe older people were saying that because they were wishing they had that opportunity. They had to grow up in, in their adult they were growing up too, while they were parenting, while they were working, while they were doing whatever. They were finding themselves within all of that. Whereas when you don't have those things, you can find yourself a little easier and enjoy yourself, enjoy who you are without all these other things. But anyway, I digress. So that's what my emerging adulthood was like. Strict environment, me, had a child, trying to hold on to my 20s. And I do think in a lot of ways regretting that I didn't have some of those, more experiences. Now that and I remember when I officially was ready to transition into adulthood was when I turned 33, when I turned my real age. And I said, this is the year that I'm going to be my real age. And that was 10 years later. When I was finally ready, to say, okay, I can leave my 20s behind. And I felt good and comfortable and all of that. And that was only because of a 2-year period before then of me wilding out, just doing whatever, because, and it's so interesting, I truly believe that you can't skip steps. You can move through them quickly, but you can't skip steps. And so I think that you have to have a period of, you just cut loose. So what people call the midlife crisis, or call a midlife crisis, I don't know if it's that. I think it's just a delayed emerging adulthood, right? It's just that it's just so delayed because they've did the parenting and the job and the this, and now the kids are off to college or whatever, and now you can now finally cut a fool, you can finally cut a whole fool. So you buy a Lamborghini, or you spend a weekend in the Caribbean that nobody knew you were going to do until Instagram, I mean, because you can finally do it. Let me tell you, as soon as I was able to feel like I had me some freedom and could just do whatever, I was out here doing it. And then after I had done that enough times, then I was ready to be an adult, right? I was ready to say, you know what? I know I don't really want to do these things, but I do really want to do these other things I've learned about. I don't really like this, but I really do like, right? And I had more of a sense of self. And so, and I do think, according, to Arnett, you do need a sense of self in order to say, okay, now I'm ready to settle my life down. I'm ready for these other things. And because of that, I felt like I was ready to be in graduate school. And that is is part of my transition period. So I'm still in the transition period. For me personally, I don't care about anybody's research, but for me personally, I'm not going to feel fully like an adult until I've graduated and gotten into the career that I want to get into. Now, I'm a very responsible person, but that feeling of, to kind of get over the imposter syndrome, or that like hashtag adulting is hard, that's going to be when for me, is when I'm done, I'm graduated, and I'm in my preferred career. And then I'm going to breathe, and I'm going to say, I made it. I did it, and I made it, and I got there. And then I'm going to start telling everybody I'm an adult. But until then, no, I truly don't feel like an adult. I feel like a chicken with my head, running around with my head cut off most of the time. And hashtag adulting is hard. And, yeah, and that's the way that it is for now. But I also know that it's not forever. It's such a temporary thing. This is getting really long, but I like this better than the other 3. So hope you all have enjoyed. I welcome your comments.